Welcome to The Price of Admission. I'm interviewing Deon Taylor, director of The Intruder. I'm talking to him about his experience and vision for his latest film. I'm here today with Deon Taylor, director of The Intruder. It comes out May 3rd. How you doing today, Deon?
Doing great, man. How are you?
Good. I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Now, May 3rd, that's coming up real quick. Are you going to go see this again in theaters, even though, you already know the end of it?
What are you talking about? Buying out the theaters, man. when you make films independently, man, no matter what happens to it, you gotta continue to support it. So yeah, I'm gonna be seeing the movie probably 50 times when it comes out, man. Like 50 tickets, please. Yeah, then probably stay in front of the theater and give them away. That's what I normally do.
Really?
Yeah.
That's great. That's good. Now, I heard you were sent the script and then you read it and the next day you were like on board. So what was it about The Intruder that sort of like snagged your attention right away where you were like, let's make this as soon as possible?
The Intruder was unique for me because once I read it, if I could see the story as I'm flipping the page, it lights me up. And it activates everything in me. And I'm probably one of the fastest people in Hollywood in terms of turning around stories. So when I read this, I remember like on that phone, I read the script in like 40 minutes. I was like, man, this is crazy. And I called him back like, man, what do I have to do to get the script? And he was like, well, they want this, pop, pop, pop. And David Lowery was the writer. And we quickly made a deal with him. And I think I was up shooting this movie in 3.5, 4 weeks. And I was like ready to do it, you know what I mean? And, obviously you take a screenplay and you have to adjust it to be able to make it, you don't have any money. So part of this movie was like, how do you contort the script in a way to where you're really locked into one or two locations where you could, really build it out. And that was the process for me, like changing the script up. And then secondly becomes the creative, who's going to be involved. My first phone call, cinematographer-wise, was I had met Daniel Pearl a few years prior. And Daniel Pearl, so you guys know who he is, at 19 years old, he's now 60, I don't know how old, maybe 67. At 19 years old, Daniel Pearl is the first guy to pick up a handheld camera, and he shot the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Wow. So the images that you see with Leatherface running down the street, that's him shooting it. He's the first person to put a camera on wheels and pull it when the girl goes up the stairs into the house, which becomes the dolly move.
Yeah.
Right? This is that guy.
Right.
Then the rest of the cast came along. Dennis Quaid was interesting because I did not know him. And this is where your independence is everything.
Right.
I wrote Dennis Quaid a letter. And I took the script and attached the script and the letter and emailed it to his team. And they didn't respond. So then I sent it again. Then I sent it again. And then finally I sent it again. And they was like, yo, stop sending this shit over here. So I was like, yo, send that through there. You know what I mean? Send it to him. And surprisingly enough, the energy came through to where Mark got involved, and finally they got the screenplay to him and the letter. And I just remember like they was like, hey, somebody called me like, hey, Deon, can you answer your phone in like 3 minutes? I'm like, what's going on? Dennis Quaid's gonna call you. I'm like, what? So I remember like running out to the front yard of my house and the phone rang. Deon, it's Dennis Quaid. I'm like, oh. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's the magic, man. Like, that's independence working with, you know what I mean? The universe and the energy, and that's how the movie came about.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of Dennis Quaid, I remember watching the trailer and thinking, like, wow, that seemed a little out of left field for me. Like, I hadn't seen Dennis Quaid in a role like this before. So
Never.
Was there something, was it just like a hunch? Did you just really want to work with Dennis Quaid?
Yeah, that's why I wanted to go after him.
Yeah.
Dennis Quaid was the obvious choice for me personally because I said, man, I've never seen him do this.
Yeah.
Everybody I would think of that you put in the movie, you're like, oh, yeah, he's the bad guy. When you think of him, you know what I mean?
Right.
This guy, I'm like, we've never seen that. And I said, man, that to me was enough. And surprisingly enough, on that same thought process, Dennis thought the same way. Like, damn, I never did this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And those worlds combined, and man, This guy, I think, have you seen the movie?
I did, yeah. I got a chance to see it.
I think this is one of his best performances ever.
I agree.
And we're hearing it everywhere. And now, at first, I was like running around, and I had some people before we started screening the movie like, Dennis Quaid, best performance. Yeah, right. You know what I mean? I'm like, yo, no, I'm serious.
Yeah.
They're like, man, you don't have to sell it to me. I'm like, I'm all right, I'm done. Dude, we've been like on a tour, and everywhere we go, I mean, it's amazing. I mean, I'm talking about big critics, man. Like, yo, what did you do to Dennis? And I'm like, yeah, remember I told you, like, yeah, he's incredible in this, man. He's nuts. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a great thriller, and I know we've talked about a couple other movies earlier. Was there any other movies that sort of inspired you, or that you maybe like wanted to take something from while making The Intruder?
Yeah, all of them. You guys are a lot younger than me, but what happens is, you know, I love movies. So what happens is a lot of times film to me is escapism. So when I watch movies when I was like really young and now growing up and then playing ball and then eventually I ended up playing ball overseas, like that's all I know is movies. And I became like fans of film. And but all of those movies became like my archive when I was growing up. So the original Pet Sematary, Cape Fear, Shining, you know what I mean?
Right.
All the Nightmare on Elm Streets, you know what I mean? Chucky's, like all those films that they were like completely shooting into our system, you know, in the early, late 80s into the 90s. Like those are all the movies where I'm like, oh man, you remember? And it's so funny, man, because here's something that is really interesting. There are 10 films. There are 10 movies that every movie is a replica of, right? Like, I don't know if they teach you that in film school, but there's really 10 great ideas, right? Where you're like, okay, it's like it's one wheel. So you can't reinvent the wheel. You could put different rims on it. You could put some Daytons on it. You could put some 26s on it, whatever your thing is, but it's only one wheel. So when you get back to film, it's your idea to figure out how do you take that one of these, the wheel, and reconfigure it in your way. And The Intruder to me is a mashup of a lot of different ideas that I had, also with a lot of things that I really, really love. Like there's a homage to The Shining, obviously. There's a moment in the movie where I like, yo, this is a little bit psycho, you know. And then I really love the movie The Strangers. I loved what Strangers did to me the first time I watched it. It was the first time I watched the film. I was like, damn, okay, you're not gonna have no score? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That just scared the hell out of me. It wasn't even a sound. And I think Quiet Place used a little bit of that as well. So a lot of those movies were like in the DNA of me thinking when I was on set to shoot, and this is what we came with.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, so I got one last question. So do you have anything new that maybe you're working on now, coming up, that you can tell us a little bit about, that we can look forward to in the future?
A bunch of stuff.
Bunch of stuff?
Because I shoot at such a rapid pace, independently, I just keep going. So I have a movie called Fatale that we're getting ready to figure out how to get released, but that's Michael Ealy and Hilary Swank. That's along the lines of Girl on the Train. I don't know if you've ever seen that, or Fatal Attraction. I have a movie my first studio film that I just did and just finished with Sony, which is an amazing project called Exposure. That's with Tyrese and Naomi Harris, which comes out late this September, about a young black female police officer in New Orleans who has a body cam, who witnesses a narc officer killing a kid. And she has to get the footage back to the precinct. This is dope.
Wow.
It's dope. And then 2 years ago, man, just for fun, me and one of my really good friends, Mike Epps, we made a movie called Meet the Blacks, which was like the funnest time I ever had. We just did Meet the Blacks 2 with Mike Epps, Cat Williams, Rick Ross, Snoop, Ha Ha Davis. I'm forgetting a bunch of people. King Batch. Michael Blackson, Danny Trejo, and we're gonna drop that Halloween. That's a really fun movie, and that's Cat Williams moves next door to Mike Epps, and he's a vampire. so I'm like, I'm really excited about that. But yeah, so we got those things happening, and I guess if you come back in a week, I'll say I got another one.
Right.
All right. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations to you guys, too,
Yes,
man. All
thank
you
you.
guys. It's dope.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right.
Yep. And The Intruder opens May 3rd. My review is on our frequency page right now.
And it better be good. And it better.
Thank you guys for watching me, and thank you again, Deon, for joining us.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you guys, man. Thank you.